Welcome back to Edzy, your personal AI tutor. Today we are revising Class 9 English for CBSE Class 9, and our chapter is Gifts of Grace Honoring Our Vocations. I am Gaurav, and with me is Swati. Keep a notebook nearby if you have one, but you can also simply listen while traveling or resting. We will solve the riddles, understand the poem, explore imagery and poetic devices, practice questions, and collect useful exam tips. Let us begin without rushing.
That sounds like a good plan. The chapter may look simple because it speaks about ordinary occupations, but its message is thoughtful. It asks us to notice the skill, dignity, pride, and identity connected with work. So while listening, do not only memorize the names of professions. Ask yourself why the poet places them together and what their voices reveal about society.
Our learning map is simple. First, we will unlock four riddles. Then we will connect those answers to the poem where Bharat is presented as celebrating varied vocations. After that, we will examine the workers and the sounds associated with them. Finally, we will revise literary devices, vocabulary, comprehension questions, and answer writing structure.
And keep responding mentally. Whenever I ask a question, let your answer come before Gaurav explains it. If you have a notebook, write one keyword for every vocation. Those keywords will become a quick revision chain by the end.
The first riddle says, in furrows deep, secrets I sow. As time passes, I watch them grow. Think of someone who places seeds in the earth and observes crops developing. Who is the answer?
The answer is a farmer. The important clues are furrows, sowing, and watching growth. A furrow is a long, narrow trench made in the soil. The riddle presents farming as patient work because the farmer does not merely sow seeds. The farmer also watches them grow.
Exam point. When explaining the farmer's role, connect the clue with the contribution. The farmer grows crops, and crops provide food. The chapter therefore presents agriculture as essential for sustaining communities. A strong answer includes both the action and its social relevance.
Now, the second riddle says, from wheel to kiln, my skill is born. Step by step, an art takes form. Take a second to think. Which worker begins with a wheel and completes the process in a kiln?
The answer is the potter. The wheel helps shape the clay, while the kiln is used in the process of making pottery. The phrase step by step shows that craftsmanship develops through stages, patience, and skill. This is not random labor, it is an art taking form.
Notice something important here. The potter's work is useful, but the chapter also calls attention to its artistic side. Pottery can be functional and decorative. So the vocation joins practical contribution with creativity and tradition.
The third riddle says, I lay foundations brick by brick. To build a house, it's me you pick. The answer is a mason. The clues are foundations, bricks, and building a house. The mason's work helps create safe spaces for people to live.
Many students answer builder, which is understandable, but the expected vocation in the riddle is mason. In an answer, use the exact word suggested by the clue and then explain the work. Brick by brick also suggests careful, organized effort.
The fourth riddle says, I work with pots, pans, and spice, creating dishes that taste so nice. The answer is a cook. The direct clues are the cooking utensils, spices, and preparation of tasty dishes.
Let us test the sequence. Farmer, potter, mason, cook. Can you now give one action for each? Sows and watches crops grow, shapes clay from wheel to kiln, lays foundations with bricks, and prepares dishes with pots, pans, and spice.
This opening activity teaches us how riddles work. We identify a profession by reading its distinctive actions. The chapter does not begin with abstract definitions. It begins with observation, inviting us to recognize work through the details of a person's craft.
The next question asks about role and relevance. Why are these people important? And how do they contribute to society? Do not answer only, they work hard. That is true but too general. Mention the specific service of each vocation.
The farmer contributes by growing crops and helping provide food. The potter transforms clay into useful or beautiful pottery. The mason builds houses and creates spaces for shelter. The cook prepares food that nourishes families and can also bring them joy.
There is a larger idea behind these four answers. Society depends on different skills. One person's work supports another person's daily life. The chapter asks us to see contribution rather than rank occupations according to status.
Exactly. The chapter celebrates the dignity of labor. Dignity means that work deserves respect when it is performed with skill, dedication, and responsibility. The value of a vocation is connected to what it contributes, not merely to how visible or glamorous it appears.
Try this question mentally. What common quality links a farmer, potter, mason, and cook? A good response would mention specialized skill and usefulness to the community. It can also add that each worker takes pride in a distinct craft.
Up tak we have covered the first major idea, the riddles identify four vocations, and the follow-up question makes us examine their social importance. Now we move to the reflective poem, which expands the list and the message.
The poem begins with the speaker saying, I hear Bharat celebrating the varied vocations I hear. What does the word hear suggest? Is the speaker literally listening to one sound or noticing many expressions of work around the country?
The speaker is listening imaginatively to the many voices of workers and their crafts. The repeated act of hearing gathers their different experiences into one celebration. Bharat becomes a shared space where varied vocations are heard together.
The poem moves from craftspersons and artisans to carpenters, electricians, boatmen, shoemakers, cooks, designers, and masons. It is almost like walking through a lively community and noticing what each person is doing.
The central line is the voice of their vocation is the voice of their identity. In simple terms, a vocation is not shown as merely a job. It becomes connected with who a person is, what the person knows, and how the person belongs to the community.
A common mistake is to interpret identity as only a name or personal label. Here, identity includes the skills, effort, pride, and contribution associated with a vocation. The worker's voice carries the character of that work.
The poem's message is unity in diversity. The vocations are different, but they belong to one social fabric. The ending returns to the opening idea of hearing Bharat celebrate. This circular movement makes the celebration feel complete and continuous.
Let us examine the craftspersons. Their craft is described as woven with colors and myriad hues. Myriad means numerous or abundant, while hues means shades or colors. The image makes the work appear rich, varied, and visually alive.
The artisans with lutes express emotions and dreams, and their sounds echo in the streets. A lute is a musical instrument. The poem therefore connects artisan work with feeling and imagination, not only with physical production.
Consider this. Which sense is strongly activated by the lutes echoing in the streets? It is hearing. The poem also uses sounds such as humming, singing, and rhythm. So the reader experiences the community through sound.
The carpenters create anything out of wood with mathematical precision. Precision means exactness or accuracy. This description admires both creativity and logical skill. The carpenter is not presented as doing rough or careless work.
The electricians work with cables and wires to brighten our lives. Their humming suggests activity and readiness for work. More importantly, their work brings light into daily life. So the poem recognizes a practical service through a lively sound image.
The boatmen gather their nets from the shore, sail, sing while working, and return with tales of life at sea. Their vocation contains labor, movement, song, experience. The sea becomes part of the stories they bring back.
The shoemakers affirm the quality of their work for feet that walk, dance, run, jump, and return home. The list of movements shows that footwear supports many parts of life. It also gives the line energy and rhythm.
In this context, affirm means to declare with confidence. The shoemakers confidently stand by the quality of their work. If a question asks for the meaning of affirm, choose declare with confidence rather than label the goods.
The phrase return home has a literal meaning. but the question asks what it may symbolize besides returning. It can suggest the completion of a journey, safety, belonging, and the comforting end of daily movement. Keep your explanation connected to the poem's image of active feet.
The cook's work is called delicious singing. This does not mean that the cook literally sings a dish. It suggests that the food is so pleasing that its quality is compared with something delicious and enjoyable.
And the poem also includes the rhythm of the designer and mason. Rhythm suggests a regular, organized flow in their work. The line places different occupations beside one another and shows that each has its own special pattern.
At this stage, the list is not merely a catalogue. Each worker is associated with an action or sensory quality: colors, lutes, precision, humming, sailing, singing, movement, deliciousness, and rhythm. These details make everyday work vivid.
This is a good moment for an Edzy style active recall check. Without looking back, name three workers from the poem and pair each with one action or image. If one answer feels uncertain, that uncertainty tells you exactly what to revise next.
Now we enter the literary appreciation section. The questions ask about rhyme scheme, lineation, speaker, tone, mood, imagery, metaphor, personification, repetition, alliteration, and symbolism. We will take them one at a time.
First, rhyme scheme. Does the poem strictly follow a regular rhyme scheme? No, it is written in free verse. Free verse does not depend on a fixed rhyme pattern. That does not mean it has no rhythm at all.
The varying line lengths help the poem follow the movement of different occupations. Some lines carry detailed actions, while shorter phrases create emphasis. The structure feels flexible, like many voices joining a common celebration.
What pattern appears in many lines? Several begin with the name of a group or worker, followed by an action or description. This repeated structure gives the poem a list like movement, while keeping attention on each vocation.
For the speaker question, the poem does not identify a specific person. We can describe the speaker as an observer or listener who notices the varied vocations and presents them with admiration. Avoid inventing a name, age, or background for the speaker.
The tone is celebratory and reverential. Celebratory means expressing joy in something, while reverential means showing deep respect. The mood is joyful because the poem captures the vibrancy and richness of skills and traditions.
Do not select hostile or sympathetic for the tone and mood blanks. The poem is not angry, and it is not mainly expressing pity. It honors workers with admiration and respect. That distinction matters in objective questions.
Imagery means language that creates a sensory picture. Visual imagery appears in craft woven with colors and myriad hues, and in carpenters creating things out of wood. These descriptions help us imagine the work rather than merely read its name.
Auditory imagery appeals to hearing. The poem mentions artisans with lutes, electricians humming, boatmen singing, and the dishes singing of the cook. These sounds make the community feel active and alive.
The phrase delicious singing of the cook is treated as a metaphor. It equates the pleasing quality of the cook's work with the enjoyable experience of tasting something delicious. The poem transforms food preparation into an artistic and musical experience.
Personification gives human qualities to something non-human. The line that presents each vocation as celebrating what belongs to them gives vocations a human-like ability to celebrate. The work itself is made to seem alive and expressive.
Why does the poet repeat the opening idea at the end? The repetition frames the poem. It reminds us that the many voices together form the celebration of Bharat. It also reinforces the central message instead of allowing the list to feel disconnected.
For alliteration, look for repeated beginning sounds in nearby words. Examples supported by the poem include varied vocations and mathematical precision. In an exam, identify the repeated sound clearly and quote only the relevant words if quotation is required.
Finally, symbolism. Each vocation symbolizes more than a job. It represents skill, dignity, identity, belonging, pride, and contribution to the common good. That is why the chapter title calls these vocations gifts of grace.
Let us now practice the true or false statements. The poem highlights skilled work of craftspersons. True. Musicians express emotions through instruments. True. Carpenters are admired for logical work. True. Because the poem mentions mathematical precision.
Electricians are recognized for helping brighten lives. True. Shoemakers are honored for quality footwear. True. But the statement that the poem celebrates patriotism is false. The poem celebrates varied vocations and their contributions, not patriotism as its main idea.
The statement that every vocation deserves respect is true. This answer should be supported with examples. The poem includes craftspersons, artisans, carpenters, electricians, boatmen, shoemakers, cooks, designers, and masons, showing that respect is broad and inclusive.
Here is a practice question. Why does the poet say, I hear Bharat celebrating? Your answer should say that the speaker hears or observes the many voices, sounds, skills, and contributions of different workers. Together, they represent the richness and unity of society.
What does the electrician humming suggest? It suggests that the electrician is preparing for work and that the work is active and purposeful. The humming also adds auditory imagery and contributes to the lively mood of the poem.
What does the line about vocation and identity mean? It means that a person's work expresses important parts of who they are. Their skill, experience, dedication, and contribution give the vocation a personal and social meaning.
Do all these roles matter in daily life? The source supports a yes. Farmers provide crops, potters create pottery, masons build houses, cooks prepare food, electricians brighten lives, and shoemakers support walking and movement. Their contributions are different but connected.
A strong, long answer should not become a random list. Begin with the central claim that every vocation contributes to society. Then, use two or three examples from the poem and conclude with dignity, identity, and unity in diversity.
So far, we have completed the poem's meaning and most critical questions. If you want to strengthen one doubt, Edzy can act as a personal AI tutor by asking you questions step by step rather than giving an answer immediately. That keeps this chapter an active recall exercise.
Let us shift to vocabulary. A horticulturist studies or grows garden plants. An ASHA worker is a trained female community health worker. A sericulturist produces raw silk. A confectioner makes or sells sweets and chocolates.
A goldsmith is a metal worker who specializes in precious metals. A welder is a person who fuses materials together. These words extend the chapter's focus beyond the worker's name in the poem and ask us to recognize more specialized vocations.
Now revise the synonym checks. Myriad means numerous, hues means shades, precision means exactness, varied means diverse, and delicious means tasty. The incorrect options are countable for myriad, drawing for hues, calculation for precision, uniform for varied, and inedible for delicious.
For a short answer, use a direct opening sentence, include a source-based detail, and close with a meaning or effect. For example, if asked about imagery, name the type, identify the words creating it, and explain what the reader imagines or hears.
For a question asking why the poet celebrates all vocations, avoid writing that only one kind of work is important. Explain that different workers sustain community life in different ways. Use examples such as the farmer, electrician, boatman, cook, or shoemaker.
For a literary device answer, follow three steps. First, identify the device. Second, mention the relevant phrase or idea. Third, explain its effect. For repetition, discuss emphasis and framing. For imagery, discuss the sensory picture. For symbolism, connect the vocation with identity and social value.
One more check. If the question asks about free verse, do not say the poem has no rhythm or structure. Say that it does not strictly follow a fixed rhyme scheme, while its varying lines and repeated patterns create movement and emphasis.
The chapter also includes speaking and writing activities. A group may represent 5 vocations and speak about who the workers are, what they do, where they work, their experiences, their problems, and a message for all. The writing task focuses on completing a career mela poster with event details and attractions.
For the poster, remember the practical features given in the chapter. It should be placed on a box, look visually attractive, use different font sizes where suitable, maintain proportionate spacing, and remain within the stated word limit of 50 words. Do not write it like a paragraph.
We are entering the final section now. Let us build the revision chain. The 4 riddles give farmer, potter, mason, and cook. Their work represents food, craftsmanship, shelter, and nourishment. The poem expands this recognition to many workers and links vocation with identity.
The poem's tone is celebratory and reverential, and its mood is joyful. It uses visual imagery through colors, hues, wood, and craft, and auditory imagery through lutes, humming, singing, and rhythm. It is written in free verse and uses repetition to frame its message.
The major message is dignity of labor and unity in diversity. Every vocation has its own skill and contribution. The workers do not disappear into a single group. Their different voices are precisely what makes the celebration rich.
Your final challenge is this. In 3 sentences, explain the line, the voice of their vocation is the voice of their identity. Include one example from the poem and one sentence about why different vocations deserve respect. Do it before you look at your notes.
A suitable answer would say that a vocation expresses a person's skill, experience, pride, and place in the community. For example, the electrician's work with cables and wires brightens lives, while the shoemaker takes responsibility for quality footwear. Therefore, every vocation contributes to collective life and deserves respect.
Before we close, remember the common mistake. Do not reduce the poem to a list of occupations. The real answer lies in the connection between work, dignity, identity, sensory imagery, and society. If you remember that connection, your answers will sound thoughtful rather than memorized.
Gaurav's next step challenge is small. Write the 4 riddle answers, 5 works from the poem, 3 poetic devices, and 1 paragraph explaining unity in diversity. Then teach the central idea to a friend or test yourself with an Edzy revision challenge. Thank you for revising with us. Keep the chapter's message close. Society is sustained by many forms of skilled work, and every honest vocation carries dignity and identity. I am Gaurav, and Swati has been with me throughout. Revise calmly, write with evidence, and return whenever you need another thoughtful study session with Edzy.